Welcome to Under the Sun podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started, and thanks for being here. Are we doing this?
We're doing it. Welcome.
Hello. In the last episode, you saw that Irene gave me this shirt. I'm wearing it. I love it so much. You know, I went to go share something that was very conspiratorial, but 100% truth. Mm-hmm. And I realized, like, I have become the person that I hated for many years.
How so?
Like, I used to hate people who were like, oh, no, like, I eat, like, a paleo-based diet. Like, mm-hmm. I don't do that. Like, I thought it was just very, like, limiting. I thought they were just doing it for pretentious reasons, not because that it actually had, like, an effect on their life.
Yeah.
And
I think it's how you communicate it, though, because I have some people who are like that, and it's like, all right, I agree with you, but calm down. But
yeah,
if you come across as like genuinely caring about people versus like, I'm better than you, I only eat paleo.
And I try to I try to be that way.
Yeah,
I hope it comes across that way. But like, I had people where they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Lee, I went to this restaurant. I'm like, why are you? I don't give a damn what you do. Like, I don't care. Yeah. But I want people to know, like, when I share these things, I'm sharing it because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was mad that, like, why didn't someone tell me sooner that, you know, these things are hurting me, or that, you know, actually politics do matter because people matter. And, like, all these things I used to hate, like people, like women. I used to hate women who are super political because I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why I did. But I'm like, now I'm like, I have to for my kid.
Yeah.
So, bam.
Yes.
Here I am.
I love it.
What's going on with you?
Not a whole lot. I'm just packing we're doing a secret. I was going to say it, but then the guys didn't say it on their podcast. And
we
I feel
already
like
said
I have
it
to
on
say
our last
secret.
podcast.
But we didn't say where we were going.
Oh, no, we don't.
And the guys didn't say where they were going. So I'm going to just not say it because I don't know when this podcast is going to come out. But we're going on a super cool road trip coming up with some surprise things and some surprise guests. And now I'm in prep phases for that. The last vacation I took, somehow we have like no suitcases. We have one suitcase that Jacob and I have shared.
You threw them away because that's who you are.
I don't actually think I threw them away. I just think I use bags until they are dead. And then I throw them away. And he and I have been using one suitcase most of our marriage. And now there's 4 of us. And I'm like, why can't I fit in this suitcase? I'm like, oh, because 2 of us didn't fit in this suitcase. So the most exciting thing about my day is I have a 4-piece luggage set in my Walmart cart that I'm picking up later that matches. Woo! It's very obnoxiously colored.
Oh, is it?
If you would have told 15-year-old me that she was going to get obnoxiously colored suitcases, I would have been so embarrassed. But I don't have time.
If it brings you joy? Great.
It really honestly doesn't even bring me joy. But
doesn't it?
Not the color.
Oh.
I couldn't find the color for the price point I wanted, and I'm not going to spend a ton of money because they're going to get banged around. But also, like, the thought of standing at a flight carousel and looking for 20 minutes for all the black bags to see which one is mine. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to be that obnoxious person, and that's the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
Our nicely bright colored suitcases.
See, I have a leopard print, like, carry-on one that I got for Christmas years ago, and it has served me so well. I love it. It's like a 360 swivel.
Oh, nice.
But, like, that's the same thing. It's like, oh, I know it when it comes. Like, I don't even look up until I see, like, a brown, speckled bag. Yeah. Don't steal my bag at the airport if we run into each other. Get out of here.
Well, and it's a 2-pack. I have 2-packs in my cart. It's a full size and a mini. So I just have 2 of those. I was like, cool. The adults get the big ones. Yeah. The kids get the small ones. It's going to be great.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I'm also in preparation because we did mention in the last podcast in the last podcast that we're going to Wyoming. We did say it.
Okay.
We said
okay.
Wyoming. But so yeah. By now, when you're listening to this, we have probably already gone and come back. But I'm very excited. It is the first road trip with our baby. So that'll be interesting.
She'll be how old when we travel?
We'll come back like 4 days before her first birthday.
Are you going to have a big birthday? What do you think?
I think we're just going to go to a local park and let the kids all just play on the playground because we won't have our home by then. Mm-hmm. And just let all the kids play on the playground, and we're not doing anything special.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to have one. Is that weird?
No, because I didn't want to have one with my first either. And I felt like a terrible mom, or like, I don't know, he's going to hate me one day. And then COVID, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a Zoom time.
Yeah.
I had to stay home in my pajamas all day. It was great.
Well, I kind of feel like I get it. A lot of people love her, which is, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she doesn't really need anything. Like, the grandparents are going to get her something regardless. So I'm like, that's great. But I'm like, everything else, I'm like, I just went to a yard sale and spent like $12 and got basically all of her spring clothes.
That's amazing.
But I'm like, she doesn't really need anything, and she won't remember it. But I do think she'll enjoy playing with your kids and some of our friends' kids and stuff. So I think for that sake, I think we will do it. But we're going to say, like, just don't bring anything. Just come, bring your gremlins, let them run around and get exhausted, and you're welcome for that, you know.
I like to, which I think I mentioned this in our How to Care for a Postpartum Mama podcast, but on children's first birthdays, like, they truly don't need anything. And like she said, grandparents are going to spoil them. I am the aunt, but like aunts and uncles are going to spoil them. I like to get mom something on the first birthday. It's like, hey, you made it a full year. Your kid's alive.
Holler.
Here's some coffee. Here's a gift card. Here's some pajamas.
Holler.
So
it's day in and day out. Mm-hmm. It's great. I love it. Yes. So grateful.
Yeah.
The love is, you don't know it until you have it. Mm-hmm. But damn, it is every day.
And now you don't have to do bedtime because the guys took too long on their podcast, and now we're podcasting through bedtime.
Yeah. It matters, but she won't remember it. And I'm going to do like 1 year photos. Yeah. So like she'll never know. She knows she turned 1 year. But.
And like at this point, the video is what's important. Like I think Jacob got video of the Zoom call, but the funny parts to me are of like my son's non-emotional face, just like looking at his decorations, looking at his cake, not smile. Like, the video is more fun for me. He's not going to care or remember. So.
Yeah. Or probably ever ask about it. He's like, hey, Mom, will you please show me all the documentation you captured for my first birthday?
Right. If anything, he's going to be like, please stop showing people my baby photos. So,
yeah.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Oh, no, I clicked the wrong button. I'm so old, guys. I'm so old.
Why is your font so large? Oh, never mind. It was the title.
It's the title. I'm just that old. No, we're going to talk about, actually, this was a request from Instagram. Talk about marriage and communication.
Yeah.
And we're not pros by any means, but we are, you're what, 11, 10? No.
I don't know how to math, but this September will be our 9th anniversary of marriage. And we've been together since 2009.
Okay.
So I'm too tired to math.
Don't ask me to math.
Whatever math is.
It's not math.
Almost 9 years of marriage. Almost 9 years of marriage. And I actually had a picture come across the other day of the first day we met Dave.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, when was that? Did it say 11 years ago?
I think so.
Because our 10-year
I think so.
Before going to New Mexico popped up a couple of days ago.
Oh,
remember? So he was my boyfriend at the time. My boyfriend Dave and Irene all went on a trip to New Mexico together because we all wanted to hike the
Sandias.
Was it Sandias Mountain? Okay, yeah. What's La Luz?
That's the trail. The name of that specific trail we walked up.
Okay. Yeah, but that came up, that was 10 years ago. So so she's been married for 9 years. It'll be 7 years in September for us. We're actually the week before you. And I never realized that when we picked the date, and I was like, oops, sorry.
We don't claim to know everything, because I was talking with my husband Jacob about this, and he's like, the number one thing to, not really, but like the number one thing to kill a relationship is to talk about how good it is openly. Also, like, don't have your significant other in a music video. There's just a lot of like jokey, I don't know what the word would be, like superstitions, but like, I guess I'll preface this with saying, like, our marriage is not perfect. No marriage is perfect.
No.
We don't know everything, and we're still learning every day. Yeah. But these are just ways we've found helpful over the past few years, or things that we found not helpful over the last few years. Yeah,
because you grow, and that's kind of that's the beauty of it. Like, I know a lot of people talk about marriage in this negative sense of like, oh yeah, you're just the old ball and chain, and it's and that's not how, if that's how marriage has been exampled to you, I'm really sorry about that, because it actually can be really, really fun and wonderful when you actually acknowledge that, okay, we're in a growing season right now, or we're in a season where like, okay, communication is not great. Let's do the hard work and just have like a couple uncomfortable conversations
and understand it's a season.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the rest of your marriage.
Because you don't grow at the same time, usually. That's what I found in our marriage. Of like, usually when I'm like in like I feel like I'm achieving and accomplishing all the things and, or, you know, I'm more self-aware or, you know, my emotional intelligence is heightened or whatever, is usually when he's not thriving. And then it usually flips. He's thriving, I'm thriving. And then sometimes we find that middle and then just it ebbs and flows. Yeah. And you kind of have to you have to love your person through that. Yeah.
And just try to understand and pay attention to their needs as well as yours. But I was reading that Happier book, which I need to get to you. He was telling a story of this couple who just kept butting heads, but they loved each other, but they kept butting heads. And she was getting really frustrated because her way to get to sleep is to like ramp down and relax. And he would get most of his energy and his excitement prior to bedtime. And he'd come in the bedroom and he's like, hey, blah, 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 or this, or the future. And she's like, whoa, I'm going to bed. You got to calm down. Well, he took that as, you don't care about my excitement. And she took it as, you're just trying to wake me up on purpose. And it was just a communication thing. And once they sorted that out, they could, you know, communicate more. And she can say, hey, I'm so excited for you. Either like, hey, can you give me some time to sleep and we can talk in the morning? Or if her cup was full enough, she could say, go for it. I can wind myself down after you're done talking. And it's a lot of it's just communicating that, which is sometimes hard to do when you're exhausted and you were the person that ramps down for bed and your significant other gets most of their creativity right before they fall asleep. Yeah. I can attest to that personally, but sometimes I can listen and sometimes I can jump to that elevator floor and be super excited. And sometimes I'll just kind of fall asleep accidentally while he's talking. So they get real chatty, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing because I know a lot of women are like, I can't get my husband to talk to me after work. And we're not saying you should stay with a jerk by any means or it's you that needs to be worked on or anything. Yeah. But there is something to be said of like self-reflection and realizing like, okay, it's not always him that's the problem. Maybe it's an expectation you're setting that's way too high. Yeah. Or for some reason you've had it because of a previous relationship or something like that. So that it's not on my list. I thought I actually had put it on my list, but one of mine, this is a bonus one. We're starting out with a bonus. Right. It's manage your expectations with your spouse and communicate those expectations. If I assume that if I make dinner and I, you know, put a lot of thought and detail into it, prepped all the food, bought all the groceries, and I expect him to put it all away at the end of the night. If I don't say something to him, he's not going to know. Now, this is something we have worked out now, like, especially after dinner, like if I cook an elaborate meal, like, hey, dishes are on you, bro. Like, or like, who are we? We don't actually do our dishes every night, but like putting the food away in the refrigerator is like whoever didn't cook dinner, that's their job. Yeah. But he would never know that if I didn't say that. And if I let that kind of build up, that's the problem. Yeah. I guess that's when you like kind of snap at each other and you don't mean to, and nobody goes into marriage thinking, oh, I'm going to yell at my husband for throwing a towel on the floor. But most of the time it's not the towel on the floor. It's a lot of built up, unsaid things that it's like, oh my gosh, if you leave another towel on the floor, you're going to die. Yeah. But it's never the towel. It's not the towel. Well, and that, I guess maybe that bonus tip wasn't exactly, because it's kind of the same verbiage of another one I have is, I heard a pastor say this once, that offenses build fences. And I love that because those little micro offenses of like, you left your towel on the floor. He doesn't respect my time that I have to like lean down, grab it, take it to the laundry machine, put it in, wash it. He doesn't respect that I have to do the extra things because he was inconsiderate. Yeah. Where he's just thinking, I'm drying my butt and like, and then dropping it. They're thinking like they aren't thinking like we think like 20 steps ahead. Yes. And we're thinking of 20 steps ahead in like 30 different directions. I don't think that's what's happening with men, but that's okay. Like, that's okay. It's not a diss. Like, they're very smart. My husband's very smart, very intelligent, very hilarious, wonderful. We have different minds, and that's okay. Women are so much better at multitasking. Yeah. Because at the same time that you have to cook dinner, make sure everyone has clothes and clean underwear for tomorrow, make sure the kids aren't walking out the front door, making sure the baby's not eating something. Like you have to.
Oh, I saw 2 diapers earlier. We need to go get diapers.
Yes.
And then it's this running list of
I saw
not inquiries, running list of.
I know what word you're looking for, but I can't find it either.
What's the word?
The bird's the word.
The bird. Do you remember? Was it you who used to have that as a ringtone? The bird.
I think
bird is a word.
Was it? Either I did it to annoy Jake, or I put it on Jake's phone to annoy him.
Someone had that as a ringtone when it was still like slider phones, and you're like,
oh yeah,
oh, that's hilarious.
I saw a meme that I think I maybe sent it to you, but it's like, I did send it to you. I was like, it must be nice to be a husband. One day you're out of deodorant and the next day there's a new one sitting on the counter. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I showed that to Dave and he actually got like a little offended.
Really?
He's like, what? He's like, you go to the grocery store, so I just mentioned it. I'm like, I'm not saying it negatively.
It was just like a joke.
Like, but it's true. I was like, it would be really nice to like
just have deodorant one
to
day.
say like, oh, like I'm out of the shampoo that I always get, and that if you're at the store and it happened to show up, that would be great.
Yeah. This trip that we're going on, in the cart with my suitcases are a new pack of underwear and socks for my husband, because I noticed on the last trip the heels of his have holes in them, and it's like, I just don't think. But
I think that's a loving thing.
I think it just, we think differently.
Yeah, and
it's not wrong, or it's not inconsiderate of him to not get me socks, because honestly, I'm really picky about my socks, and I'm not going to want him to pick out my socks anyways. Yeah. So
here's the thing, and as you were saying this, I had the thought earlier. I think when we're dating, we love being that kind of. It sounds weird, but like that, like motherly, like, oh, I'm going to buy your socks. Like, I'll make you dinner. Like, I'll pamper you. I'll take care of you.
Yeah. Let me come over and fold your laundry.
Yeah. Let me help you. Cause I was that way. Oh, like you need, like your house is a mess. Let me help you clean it. Cause you're busy working all day and I can, push through the exhaustion. Like I can do this for you. Like, cause it was like an act of love was to do nice things for him. You get married, time goes on and you the towel on the floor, things just start to irk you, which is normal and natural, and that's okay. But how you handle it is how it's going to impact your marriage. Like if you're screaming over a towel, like he's not going to receive that well.
He's not going to know why you're screaming over a towel. He's going to think, well, I wiped my butt and I didn't want to hold it because it was wet, so it's on the ground. He's not going to understand that. So communication is
and
so
also
important.
Like look within, like why does that irk you so bad? Why does that, whatever the emotion, like go to the root cause of the emotion and say like, okay, why does this fill me with rage? Is it that he isn't respecting my time that I have to pick it up? Or is it, I've already said this to him, why doesn't he do it? Or something that Dave and I have like a real life instance similar to the towel is when he takes his shirt off, he like he does this and then they're inside out. Yeah. And so then when I go to wash laundry and then go to hang it up, I have to turn every single shirt right side out to hang it up. And I'm like, and I told him, I was like, listen, I can feel myself getting frustrated and I know it's dumb. I was like, I get it. It's dumb. It's like, but as I'm doing, because he showers every day. I don't shower every day. And so like it's
not good for your skin's microbiome.
No, it's not.
Which we know.
He showers.
You probably know by now. And Dave knows by now.
He knows. He still does it though. But it's like it's a habit he has. It's like a ritual like to wake himself up, which is fine. But so that means 7 days a week. Sometimes like there was a stint where he would take multiple showers because it was hot. So there'd be like 7 shirts, 7 pairs of pants, all the things. And I had to turn them inside out to hang them up. And I was like, hey, I'm feeling myself getting frustrated that like I have to like undo all the shirts all the time. I was like, can you just turn it right side out? And then he was like, that's frustrating to you? I was like, yeah. I was like, because I feel like it takes longer to then hang up clothes because all of them are inside out. And he was like, all right, whatever. Now he just doesn't anymore. But he's like, that's weird. And but I'm like, you don't know unless you say something. And if I were to have let it just build and build,
how many years would that go by?
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that in the end? Like he wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have said anything. So you have to look at the root cause of like, it's a frustration that I have. Yes, that he's doing something, but he doesn't know. He doesn't think through that.
You also, though, have a good enough guy that he understands that and is willing to. Yeah.
And he's also willing to say like, I can't do that. Like I don't have the bandwidth right now to if it was like something more consequential.
Yeah. It's a give and take. And I think both parties have to be willing to sometimes give and sometimes take. Yeah. So don't always be the taker because it's draining on the other person. You have to be willing to do both. That's something I had on my list was do nice things for them. Write on Post-it notes, like early dating. Like you said, you're happy to go and do their laundry and you leave a little like note on their laundry of like, oh, I hope you have a great day today. And then you get married and it's like, all right, see ya, bye. And like it's easy to forget, especially with kids and businesses and work hours, but like try to remember those days of like, oh, I'm going to leave a little note in his lunchbox. Yeah. Or a couple weeks ago, I got in the van and there was a handwritten note on the car because I forgot to put gas as per usual. That is the thing in our relationship that I know drives him nuts, but I forget to put gas and then he tries to go somewhere and there's no gas. But instead of getting upset,
you and Dave,
which was very sweet, he left a note. He filled up the tank and then put a note in the car on the little windshield. And it's just like, that was sweet because like, I don't know, when it's, we used to do those things all the time. And it's now that we're sleeping more and out of the newborn phase and our kids are a little more self-sufficient, it's easy to remember like, oh yeah, I used to like to do nice things for you.
Yeah.
So
it's hard. We're not saying that it's easy, but it's a active decision. It's like changing your health. You have to make a active choice.
Yes.
Sometimes like marriage is and love is a choice within marriage. It's not just like, they're like overflowing every single day and you have to make the decision to love them well.
Yes.
And kind of be like, this is a conversation we're gonna have later on in a different podcast, but about like, it's not all about you. Like sometimes you have to give sacrificially. Like that's actually like kind of what we're all called to as Christians is like to give sacrificially. And sometimes, no, I don't want to, do X, Y, and Z around the house because it's annoying. But but it's a way that I can serve my family in this season because he's serving our family in this season in the way that he can. And Leo's pooping on the floor. Like it's just, it is what it is.
Right. Eating beetles off the ground.
Yeah. She had a clump of hair upstairs. So we're in her hair salon. And so she had a clump of hair and I saw it go over her mouth. No. And I literally went,
Did you scream scare her?
Yeah.
Or was she fine?
She cried. It was fine. It was fine. Is it your turn or my turn?
Doesn't matter. We're 1 for 1.
Okay. I have say what you mean and mean what you say. So no passive aggressive crap, no hinting, no resentment, building up from waiting on him to figure things out. That's kind of like what we were already kind of talking about. But I think a lot of women get in this like hinting cycle of like, oh man, Mother's Day's coming up. I am a mother.
I sent an Amazon link to this concealed carry purse that I wanted for Mother's Day. And then the response was, we're about to go on vacation. You don't need another purse. And for a small second, I was like, I pushed 2 humans out. And the other part of me is like, we're about to spend a lot of money on vacation. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll use the vacation. So
happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Thanks, you too. I think we text each other.
We did?
Yeah,
okay.
we did. That goes kind of along with one of mine is like, don't take things too seriously. Yeah. Be willing to joke around, be willing to laugh. But like when he said, hey, we're not getting a purse, we're about to spend a lot of money on vacation. I know a lot of women who would have been like, I can't believe he didn't just buy it for you. You birthed his children. But it's like, yeah, we're also going on a really expensive vacation.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to like,
we're all adults.
Okay, I understand. I also work a lot of hours a week and I know how many hours I'd have to work to swap out for this purse. So
yeah, it's
fine.
People are so self-absorbed. Like honestly, like I've heard lots of commentary about, whether it's how someone is treated on, Mother's Day or their birthday. And it's like, we're all grown. Like you should be able to use your deductive reasoning to be like, like it'd be great if like you should definitely make your person feel special. Like get them a coffee, whatever their love language is, like try to cater to that.
And he waited till midnight, gave me a big hug, said Happy Mother's Day. I think we were driving. I think it was a handhold as we were driving on our way to vacation through the middle of the night. But I think he even like woke the kids at the next gas station and was like, it's Mother's Day. So he made a big deal out of it. Yeah. And that's the important part is that he acknowledges it, not that he buys me all these gifts.
Well, I don't know why purchasing something for someone is the new gift.
Because the powers that be make it seem that if you don't spend X amount of dollars, then you're a terrible spouse.
If I want for Mother's Day, I want 24 hours of uninterrupted time with my wife, my husband, and my daughter.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Like no cell phones. That would be more of a gift than purchasing anything at all.
What's kind of sad but kind of funny is at the salon we had a little like promotional gimmick that said we had a little spa package we put together for an hour massage, an hour facial, and either you could choose a manicure or a pedicure, and there were different price packages. And the little tagline we had on the advertisement was, "Give mom what she really wants for Mother's Day, alone time." And it made me sad because all I want is to be with my husband and kids. But I knew majority of the people spending money on Mother's Day want to be alone. And I would love a spa day, but like Mother's Day, my children are going to sit right next to me and snuggle until they're so old that they say like, "Please stop snuggling, you psycho, go away." But it's sad that I knew that marketing would work, and it worked. But that's I guess a topic maybe for another day of
I get both
parenting.
though.
I do.
Because like, I think it depends on the season you're in.
Yeah.
Because I would be lying if I didn't say, "Hey Dave, I wouldn't mind a hotel room by myself just to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
And maybe wake up to pump once because Leo still sleeps like in our bed and nurses frequently through the night."
Yeah.
Because it starts to weigh on you. It
does.
Just a little bit, like 11 months in, and I haven't had a solid night's sleep in 11 months. So I'm like,
I get it.
I mean, I sleep great, but it's not consecutive. It's like in chunks. So
yeah. And Jacob's offered. He's offered multiple times. He's like, "Do you just want to get a hotel?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. Like I'm good. I just needed to say it.
Yes.
I needed to say that I'm exhausted. I don't need to act on it," which is where communication is key. I knew enough to say like, "No, I just need to get it out of me."
Yeah.
And we'll keep going. But on that, don't take things too seriously.
We should have cross-referenced our notes. I think we talk about a lot of the same things.
I think we do, but I mean, they're pretty important things.
They are.
So with the joke, like I love to laugh, and Jacob knows that. So, and he knows that I have the humor of a 12-year-old boy. So he'll say stuff and I will laugh. And I can just think of so many people who like, if their husband would have said that to them, they would have been so mad. But like, you have to be able to laugh at stuff. Or I've heard people say, "Oh, if my husband said that, I wouldn't talk to him for a week." And it's like,
I don't think I've
nobody
ever
wants to be married to somebody so grumpy. So don't be grumpy.
You're not supposed to, we don't marry your husband because you want to change him. Like you marry him because he's fun. Honestly, like I sometimes think, I'm like, what would I do if I was dating him right now? Like, what would I do?
Yeah.
That's when I like run upstairs and flash him while he's working. And I think it's really funny and it's fun.
Yeah.
But that goes along with mine is like never stop flirting, smack his butt, sneak kisses while the kids are distracted. Or, you know, it's actually good for your kids to see you like love on each other, like in an appropriate fashion, obviously. That's a story for another day. I'll tell you later.
Oh no, I have to know.
But yeah, like it's not, I think we complicate it a lot.
Yeah.
Like sometimes even if you're a little frustrated, like sometimes I literally tell Dave, I'm like, we need skin to skin. Like I need like not, it's not sexual. Sometimes it goes there, but you know, like we hug and I have him take his shirt off and I take my shirt off and then we just hug. And that alone, or like having a conversation where we look at each other in the eyes and there's no phones, there's no distractions, like after Leo's gone to bed, I feel more energized and recharged and connected with him after a 10-minute conversation or like a hug with no shirt on than I do.
There is scientific data, which I can't remember right now because I'm a little sleep deprived myself, but
you're killing it.
Thanks. That shows that the skin to skin, like it literally changes your molecules for the better. But
did you know, I learned this the other day and I can't even tell you. Honestly, I need to stop. I need to save things on Instagram because I like read it and I'm like, whoa. And then they share a link and then I follow it and then the link is within Instagram and then you can't find it in your history, your browser history.
You can make a saved, I just learned this. I'm not so
like a saved
Instagram
album?
old, but you can make a combined shared album.
Stop it.
Because my sister and I have one for Instagram poses because every time she visits, I'm like, I don't know what to do with my body. So anytime we see someone doing a tutorial on how to pose or the cruise ship guy sent you where he was taking a picture, we share his stuff back and forth all the time and just save it to our album because it's like, oh, you're in a city. Here's how you take this photo. So we'll just have to start a shared album.
Okay, good to know. We should start doing that.
Yes.
But that like, say Leo is nowhere near, this is horrible, but like if I died or if I did a blood test, they would be able to tell off of my blood that I had a baby recently because her DNA would be within my DNA.
Really?
Yeah. Because
I didn't
for
realize
the first like,
backtracked.
I feel like it said 2 years, don't quote me on this, but like for the first 2 years, maybe it's maybe they said something with breastfeeding, but like her DNA is literally in my DNA.
Ringing the bell maybe.
And it changes my DNA with every child.
Interesting.
With every kid, you are not basically the same. Like you are not the same. Like they change you.
They really do.
They change you.
It's
gives
so
me
beautiful.
the goosebumps. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't want more right now, but like this shop is closed for the moment.
Yes.
But yeah, never stop flirting.
Yes.
It's great.
I used to love...
Honestly, never stop flashing. He will never say, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've nursed 2 children for 4 years solid with 0 breaks in between, including through a pregnancy and tandem nursing. And I'm like, my boobs, like, don't like them. And all he cares about is boobs. It's like, boob, great. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I don't like to know that because he's my brother.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Sometimes we love to ruin Ilea's day. Just.
I don't think of them as a married couple. I'm like, yeah, they have kids. They just showed up.
Yep.
They didn't do anything to make them come.
Yes.
Oh no! The visuals! I'm so sweaty. I'm so sweaty. Stop! I'm so sweaty. Oh,
I'm
and
crying.
I'm detoxing
Oh,
because
that's
of
great.
Oh, stop! Oh,
Alrighty. Where were we?
this is the end of Chasing Mountains podcast. Not chasing.
Oh man!
gun.
At least it wasn't me this time. I feel like I do it every
Under the
time.
Sun podcast. Dang it!
All right.
Don't sweat the small things.
Yes.
The next-
I'm literally crying. Oh man.
Oh, sorry.
And I've said this in a previous podcast, but I want to say it was like a motherhood podcast, but on how many times children laugh in a day.
Yeah.
And it's like well over 300 times they at least giggle. And for an adult, they'll maybe giggle or smirk or smile even 5 times a day. And that is so sad.
Yeah.
So be able to laugh with your partner. Because think about when you were dating, you were laughing all the time at jokes, at each other. And then all of a sudden life goes on and you're a grumpy old couple who hasn't laughed in years. And don't let that happen.
No, and it's okay to say like, hey, you know, whatever season you're in, like, hey, the last 2 years have been really hard. Like, let's try to connect again.
Yeah. We had a
Do
conversation.
things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
Which is what we're at. Because like
Yeah.
when you're kind of in the thick of newborn, it kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very consuming, which is a wonderful thing. It's a season of life. But now we're like, oh, we're going on this Wyoming trip and we're going on a cruise. And it's like, we're doing things that like the old of us would do.
There have been a few times where he's been like, hey, let's get in the car and go to this. And 24-year-old me would have been like, great, let's go. And 33-year-old me is like, I gotta pack the diapers. We don't have enough wipes. I don't feel like going to the store to buy those right now. Like, it's all the reasons of why we can't go do this thing. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation once where he's like, and this is one of those things where like you can't always get offended. And if you're getting offended easily, you have to think of why you're getting so offended at what they're saying. And
is there some truth to it?
Unless they're like
jerks.
There's a difference between like being bullied and them saying something. But he wanted to go somewhere and I don't know why. I was just like, no, I don't really feel like it. And he got really quiet and he said, you were a lot more fun before we had kids. And that didn't mean I regret the kids. And it didn't mean I hate you, I want a divorce. It meant he was saying what he felt. And I needed to be mature enough to accept that without, because, you know, your instinct is to like get your feelings hurt. Well, I have to do this and I have to do laundry and I have to take care of the kids and I've been nursing and I haven't slept. You can think all those things or you can think that is true. Because prior to kids, I would have said, great, pack up the house, burn it to the ground. Let's do this thing. And you have to be willing to like take some time to self-reflect.
Yeah.
Without getting your feelings hurt. And if your feelings get hurt, that's fine too, but don't jump immediately and get defensive. You know, it's okay to take a minute, take a breath, think of why your feelings are hurt. Is it the truth? Do you need to hear it?
That's a lot of the time why people get offended because they know somewhere in their soul, spirit, whatever, that there's some truth to it. And that's when people actually truly get offended.
Yeah.
And you just have to, like, no husband is perfect. You're also not perfect. You have to figure out how to be imperfect together and to love each other through it.
Yeah. which kind of goes on with another one of my other ones, which I was going to actually get the Bible verse too, but I forgot to on the way over here. But it was basically hold your tongue, because in the heat of the moment, a lot of times the first thing that comes to mind is not the thing you should say. Mm-hmm. You should take a moment, think all your thoughts, feel all your feelings if you've gotta, but don't just blurt out, well, you're an idiot, because that's not going to go anywhere.
Absolutely. Dave actually said the other day, it was maybe like 2 weeks ago, he said, you know how everyone says, like, don't go to bed angry? And he was like, I think that's not true. And I don't think that works for me. Because sometimes he has said, he's like, I need to process things, because he needs to figure out why it's actually frustrating to him. Yeah. He says, I leave booby traps everywhere. So, like, I don't put the lids back on things all the way. But hear the story. Like, he was like, you booby trap everything. Like, you know, the collagen lid doesn't have, like, it's not all the way back on. So when I go to grab it, it spills everywhere. And he was communicating that after he was frustrating, like the next day, because he had spilled the collagen. And I was like, hey, I hear you. That is frustrating. I was like, but I did have Leo on my hip and she was screaming and I was just trying to get a cup of coffee and I didn't have another hand to tighten it. Mind you, I do have that habit even if Leo's not on my hip. It is something I'm trying to, it's not a great habit. So it's not helpful when you live in a house with someone else. So
I've shaken the milk a few times and had milk go everywhere. So
that's me.
But also it happens. It's a little bit of milk.
No, nobody's perfect. It's all right. Yeah. Some people say promote Chasing Mountains podcast on the Under the Sun podcast instead.
The amount of times I've said welcome to Chasing Mountains podcast is pretty high. That is the advice I give. You know, every bridal shower has give your advice to the bride. That is the thing that I write down every single time. And that's on my notes too, is don't go to bed. They say don't go to bed angry, but sometimes as a woman, you need to sleep and you need to eat, which it's interesting to hear Dave say the same thing too. So I don't actually think I wrote down the sleep part, but I did write down, be confident enough in yourself to say, hey, I need to put a pause on this conversation and get a snack or take a nap or whatever. Because as women, our blood sugar is so dependent on the way that we react to things. And it's not a negative thing or it's a scientific fact that if a female's blood sugar tanks, they're not going to be able to respond in a way that they probably should.
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, I'll have to say like, hey, I need to eat. And actually this week something came up and I was like, hey, I need to eat. And we were super busy. And Jacob was like, you need to eat or you want to eat? And I looked him in the eye and I was like, I need to eat. And he knew like, okay, no, I'm not being a crazy bee. Her blood sugar's in the trash. Like, I think he kind of thought that a little, but he also understood I'm not going to understand that psychological side of her. So let's go find you some food. And I ate and I was great. Yep. So be confident enough to say that. And also, it's okay to eat a snack and it's okay to take a nap before you carry on a conversation.
Or say, I need a minute to process before because in the moment, you do want to go towards those hateful things that aren't beneficial at all and actually cause a lot of long-term damage.
Yeah.
So if you need, I've said it before, of like, I can't communicate what I'm feeling right now because I feel more, I just feel too much. So can we let's talk tomorrow. And then you awkwardly watch Frasier on the couch. Like, it happens. Like, we're not saying that things aren't uncomfortable, because sometimes actually things have to be uncomfortable for them to be better. Yeah. Actually, I love, like, you know, Dave and I are very upfront about those things. Like, we're not like a sweep it under the rug, never talk about it again. It's more of like all right, here are all the cards on the table. That was uncomfortable. Let's talk about this. Yeah. And that's so much better than like waiting for things to boil over. Yeah. But there have been growing pains, you know, with growing people. So
yeah, I mean,
it's a whole new avenue.
You've never done something before until you've done it. Yeah. And there's no like, well, having one kid is hard. Well, try having two. Well, try having three. In each phase, you've never done it. You've never had one kid before. And then when you have second, you've never had two kids. And when you have the third, you've never been outnumbered before. Yeah. So each thing is just different. You have to learn how to navigate it. And you're going to navigate it differently because you're two different humans. For sure. And if you married someone exactly like you, which is literally impossible, what fun would life be? Yeah. I love, but then I like to laugh. Like a lot of my, I don't know if you want to call it, like, I hate saying the word because it sounds annoying, but like coping mechanisms are laughing. Yeah. And I love the memes that are like, the packing one I sent you, where it's like one person
Yes, I
packs
posted
6
that.
days before a trip, and one person wakes up the day of and realizes they need to do a load of laundry, and they marry each other.
Yeah.
And they're funny because they're true. But I love seeing those because I'm not like, oh, that's so annoying. I'm like, yeah, it is, and it's really funny. And one person that usually either waits to do laundry or says, I'll just buy underwear there, goes on a trip without his wife to the Bahamas and has 0 underwear because you can't buy underwear in the Bahamas, apparently.
Oh, Jacob. He tells a story about washing his underwear in the sink.
He had to wash the same pair in the sink with like hand soap for a week
Hilarious.
on a hot, muggy
I love
work
that.
trip. So,
I love that. I'm excited to hear what stories come up from this trip.
oh yeah.
So I'm going to vlog it. Are you going to vlog?
Yes.
Awesome. So go to
I'm
our
excited.
personal
Yeah.
YouTube channels. We're going to post updated vlogs and maybe some type of under the sun
Yeah, I think we should. That might be
content
fun.
that'll
like
be kind of out of the norm.
Yeah.
Something. What else you got? I'm out.
My last one is you can't control what they think or how they feel. They can't change how you think or feel. You're each your own person. It's not up to him to make you happy. You shouldn't give that kind of control to everyone else because it's a false control.
Yeah.
It's no one else's responsibility to make you happy. It's your own responsibility to work on yourself and just hope that you've picked a good enough partner that they are willing to grow with you.
Yeah. That's like when we had our guest Dean Hefta on, he talks about that a lot. It's like you can't expect somebody else to make you happy and you shouldn't expect someone else to make you sad.
Yeah.
Like you have to be, what's the saying? You should be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Like you don't need to take the temperature of everybody in the room. You don't need to like be like, oh, around you, I'm 101. You know, like you need to set your temperature and just be content with who you are, how you act, and recognize that sometimes it's actually you that needs to correct behavior versus, a husband or something. But
and then as a disclaimer, apparently you have to say disclaimers these days, but also I kind of feel like we should, not disclaimer, but if you're in a relationship where you are putting the effort and you're trying and the other person just doesn't respond, then, or if it's abusive in any way, it's like you're not going to change them. So just be careful. And I just pray that before someone's in that situation, they can find a good partner that's willing to grow.
Yeah.
But,
and if you feel unsafe, leave in the cover of night.
They're not going to change.
No, you can't change them. You can't change anybody. Like we have really good men. God has blessed us with really great men. But if they weren't that way, like I feel like it's the type of women we are. We would not stay to try to change them. We would just be like, nope, we made a mistake. Just accept that mistake.
We've had this conversation before, prior to kids and both after kids. Hey, if you do X, Y, Z, I will leave and take the kids, and I would hope you do the same. And it's like, yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, your safety and your children's safety is the most important thing. Yeah. And there's only so much you can do if the other person's not willing to also put in that effort. Yeah. But I think a lot of times in relationships, if they started out well and they're dating and you're in love and you're happy to be around each other, you don't marry someone thinking, I'm going to grow old and miserable with this person. A lot of times it's just recalibrating and trying to remember, like, what did we laugh about before? What TV shows did we binge on the couch before? And if you had that much fun with that person in the beginning, more than likely you can have that much fun with the person in the end. You just have to remember. Yeah. Put in some work.
Yeah. It's worth it. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, with your disclaimer.
If you did not marry a trash bag. Yeah. But.
Yeah. It's worth it. It's awesome having husband as a best friend.
I mean, we have like a 15-layer secret handshake, so.
That's the goal, folks. Yes. 15-layer secret handshake. What's our goal? What's our thing? Oh, we sing everything around the house. We're like, to put the dishes in the sink. It is lame.
That's wonderful.
But we sing everything. And so now Leo like walks around and she's like,
oh, that's so sweet.
And she just sings everything.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Your children are watching.
Yeah, they are.
This is not that podcast, but this is something to be said.
Yeah.
Your children will. You are the example for your kids' marriage, and they're going to follow you as an example, whether that's an example of what to do or what not to do. And it's your responsibility to shape that.
Yeah. do the hard work.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy.
No.
So
everything worth it takes effort.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us.
I feel like we both get very like
don't know
corporate. We're both like,
Let me adjust my tie.
Thanks for being here, guys. We will tell you all about our fun, exciting trip, hopefully on the next episode, because the next time we're recording is when we're back.
We'll see you on the road.
Oh yeah, on the road.
And we're going to do a how we pack healthy foods for our kids vlog. If we have time this week. We need to make time, but where we go to Costco. Vlog style.
Oh no!
Gotcha.
I hate that. Bye.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at _underscore podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.